So I'm going to introduce Anthony Zender, super soldier. Anthony is an American author, veteran, martial artist, and researcher whose work explores consciousness, dreams, philosophy, spirituality, and the hidden dimensions of the human experience. A former United States Marine who served with the 3rd Battalion, 4th Marines during the Iraq War, Zender later pursued a lifelong study of philosophy, metaphysics, religion, lucid dreaming, and esoteric traditions, which lead him to remembering his role in the Pythagorean Illuminati, the secret society and keepers of the Holy Grail. And today he's going to give you a fascinating talk. And welcome, Anthony Zender.
All right. Thank you. It's good to be here with everybody. And I'm here to talk about my life today and my experience in understanding my role in the secret space program. And this has been a lifelong journey for me, but it continues every year. More comes back and more pieces of the puzzle come together, which actually the most recent puzzle is this. Hold on. Do I got the slideshow? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So my presentation is called the Soul Camera. I'll talk about that later. Has significance and meaning. This is me as a little kid. That's my grandfather up there, which this story does revolve around. It's actually where it begins. Because my grandfather was, this is my family. We're all very special, gifted, and talented people. We have a very special family. And so my grandfather, he was an engineer, mechanical engineer, worked on propulsion systems, lasers, and everything, and he couldn't actually talk about the work that he did. My family never really knew much about what he did because he couldn't talk about it. And we knew like some little things, like he worked on the SR-71 Blackbird, which is one of the secret, spy planes. And we also knew he worked on the Star Wars Defense Initiative, which was during the Reagan days, and was said it was made for taking out, ballistic missiles, but it had another purpose. So he was working on secret projects, and we never knew what he could work on, what he was working on. And as fate would have it, I actually met with David Adair about 4 months ago, and I actually was telling him about my grandfather's his patent for the X4 hummingbird, because the X4 hummingbird was one of the first VTOL, experimental VTOL takeoff and landing aircraft. Obviously a continuation of Operation Paperclip technology. So he worked with them, with the Paperclip scientists, and they created the Lockheed X4 Hummingbird. And my grandfather had a patent on that. So I was talking to David Adair about it. And I was like, do you know about the X4? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, my grandfather, Walter Kaminsky, has that patent. He's like, I know Walter. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, I know Walter. I worked with him for 5 years at Skunk Works in Area 51. So I was like, my mind was blown right there, because I wasn't supposed to know that. My family obviously wasn't supposed to know that, but I guess Daddy had a little plan, and a big puzzle piece came into my life, because that was the most amazing thing I ever heard. And so I was able to talk to David, and he was able to tell me some pretty amazing stories about what they worked on, and and what I didn't know, and they worked on the SR-71, had a whole story about that, about how they actually messed up the secrecy about it, because one day they were moving the SR-71 from hangar bay to hangar bay, and the outline of the craft was on the ground. So the Russian satellites were able to see the craft, and then they were able to, thank you. Yeah, they were able to see the craft, so the secrecy was broken. And they actually sent a picture, back to the government, and my grandfather came into David Adair and he said, we screwed the pooch, is what he said, because the Russians found out what it looked like. And they worked on the railgun, which I found out was obviously, it was very successful, because it was more destructive than it was supposed to be. And they got like a huge contract for that. And they worked on teleportation. David Adair told me they teleported a grapefruit across the room, but it didn't. When it got to the other side, they cut it open and it was all like messed up on the inside. So they didn't get the math right, but they were working on teleportation, and he showed my because David was young. He was young when they met, because David was taken in at young age because of the rocket engine he made, and the government took him in by legal conscription. This is all stuff I learned from David. But he met my grandfather, took a liking to him because I heard the whole story, because he didn't think the same way as other people did. And he told David he was going to turn their minds inside. He used different language, but basically he said he's going to turn them upside down and inside out, just by the way he thought. So they had a close relationship together, which is like amazing to even know, because David was even amazed too, because he was just like, I haven't thought of Walter for so many years, but now obviously brought back some stuff. But he showed him the Tic Tac craft that everybody knows to be the Tic Tac. He showed him the Tic Tac craft, and they worked together on the Aurora, which is where everything disappears. The secret space program kind of disappears because the Aurora is still secret. They're able to keep it secret. It doesn't exist. And, they used David Adair's technology, and it goes, up to Mach 36 and beyond. So that's, it does, but it doesn't exist. So, and I got to learn what it looked like too from David, what the Aurora looked like, because if you look it up on the internet, there's a bunch of pictures of it, but they're not right depictions of it, because David Adair told me it looked like a giant teardrop, like a teardrop. So that's got to learn about they're working together at Area 51 and Skunk Works, which, like I said, was a huge puzzle piece in my personal life and story, because the secrecy began before I came into the world. So then I came into the world, and at 6 years old, I was gifted and talented. I was like definitely, and then there's a depiction of them working on the SR-71 together. But when I came into the world, I was definitely kind of like I was remembering dreams and stuff when I was little. Ever since I was a little kid, I could remember all my dreams. and very, very psychic. It was in the family. And that, I was gifted and talented. And I was leading the school play. I was like the boy who cried wolf. I did uh, choir, solos, a white sport coat and a pink carnation. And I was like physically, like I was getting the Presidential Physical Fitness Award. So I was gifted and talented. And, I didn't know about this then, but not now looking back, I have information that I didn't have before. But I do remember being in the gifted and talented education program because when I was little, I remember them taking me out of class, putting headphones on me, and giving me a hearing test, which was, they said it was a hearing test. But it's not a hearing test. It's actually a test to see if you can hear different audible tones to test your psychic ability. And so I remember that. And then I remember the pink drink that they gave us. And, I was just always remembering my dreams. I remember past life memories. When I was 6 years old, I was always drawing, pictures of Egypt and having past life memory recalls of being in Egypt, being in the temples, being in the pyramids, being initiated in the pyramids. So that was all coming back at 6 years old. And that got me in the GATE program, which is Gifted Intelligent Education, which made me a targeted individual. And I was then inducted into the MyLab program, which is military abductions. And at 6 years old, I remember my first military abduction memory. It was a hand coming and taking me out of my window. But it was definitely a screen memory that they place on you because they have the technology. But really a special ops team is coming and taking children that are identified to have psychic ability. And so this happens. So I remember them taking me out, and I remember them taking me to a deep underground military base. And I remember being on a table, and they were putting implants into me because I would wake up in the morning with like bloody noses. So I was always wondering what those were about. And they were putting implants into my nose to control psychic ability. And so I would be periodically taken through my life whenever they wanted to do the training and the grooming that I was involved in, because I remember being taken down to deep underground military bases and locked in boxes. And just Stranger Things is soft disclosure, because those rooms are real. And I remember being in the rooms like with children, and we're at a circular table, and we were doing telekinesis on a bowl. We were pushing it with our hands and our minds, and we were just moving it around. And they were doing all these different tests and stuff when they would take us, and then they would wipe our minds of it because they have trip chairs. And I remember the trip chair too. So this was going on all throughout my childhood. And at the same time, I'd be living out my normal life, just like, thinking I'm living out like a kid's life, a normal kid's life. But then I had people moved into my life. I had influence, like a adjustment bureau moved into my life because I was just a kid playing around in the yard. And I had a family moved into my life. They were all training to be Marine Corps pilots. One of them, they're all trained to be pilots. One of them was a commercial pilot, but they would come and play with us children in the yard. So they were approaching us, and I learned now, like, anyone that approaches you now, I mean, not anyone, but a lot of people are plants and stuff. And they're watching you. So they came into my life. My mom ended up, dating one of them, marrying one of them, and the other two were trained to be Marine Corps pilots. And so I was influenced by them being pilots. Thanks. Yeah, I was influenced by them because as a kid I would see them. Going through all their training, going through, like, they were giving me flight simulators too. They were, they were grooming me. So I was playing all these flight simulator games and stuff like that, and they were going through their training. They were sending me all their patches. This is one of my the Diamondbacks, or the This is who do I point it at? I'm trying to go back. Okay, but anyways, those are the Black Sheep. That's a Harrier squadron my uncle was in. They're the VTOL, takeoff and landing. They've been replaced by, like, the F-35.
You'll just have to call them for slides. That's not working up there. Just tell me if you want forward or back.
Oh, okay. You can go forward. Those are the Diamondbacks. That's an F-18 squadron my uncle was in. And so those were the fighter squadrons that they got in. Can you go forward again? So this is, so when I was getting groomed and stuff, I thought I was going to visit my uncle to go on, like, a trip to SeaWorld, and because he was down in California. And so I thought I was going to visit them, but I was going down there really for what I found out later. My uncle took me onto the base. He was a captain at the time, and he took me to his hangar bay. And I remember going into the hangar, and I go into this room. There's all sorts of computers there, and then we go into this other room, and it's this large circular dome room, like a giant dome, and it's got a fuselage suspended in the middle of the dome, and it's got a catwalk going out to it. And he was behind me, and we went in this, and I was in it, and they let me fly it, and I was just flying it around, and it was like the most advanced simulator I've ever, like, been in. And I remember hearing them, they're like, give them rockets, and they were like telling me all these things, and they were letting me fly the simulator. And I was actually later able to find out from some files that I was test piloting the F-35 Lightning II technology before it was actually in service, because it's a telepathic interface. So that happened, and so they were grooming me to have a telepathic interface with, because I remember, just putting the headset on my head, and obviously that was part of the technology. You can go forward. So MyLabs, I got MyLab. You get MyLab multiple times, and then they can just take your consciousness once they get you, and then they're cloning you, because consciousness transfer is part of the technology. So when you're involved in the secret space program, they can take your consciousness and put it into a clone. That has to do with a lot of the memories that I have coming back. It's because it's when I was in a clone's body that was deployed in whatever mission. And also MK Ultra'd with an altar that's programmed for whatever mission parameters that they use MK Ultra to program altars and stuff. So you can go forward. That I was in the Marines. This is my service in the Marines. I went to Fallujah, Iraq. Actually, was in the Marines, and then I got out when I was 22, honorable discharge. You can go forward. When I got out, I was kind of like lost in the world, because I didn't have direction, because I was just got out of the Marines. So that's when I went through my spiritual awakening. Started, I always believed in God, obviously, my whole life, but I really began the search after, because going to a war and stuff and seeing third world countries, like, opens your eyes. And I definitely had that open. And so I went on my spiritual journey, had my Kundalini awakening. It was a spontaneous Kundalini awakening. I was just sitting there one day, had an energy shoot up my spine, and I was with my friend, and I just shot up my spine, and I just, like, out my head, and I was just like, oh my God. And my friend was like, what the hell? And I was just like, after that, everything changed. I started reading everything, every spiritual book I could find. I was never reading anything before, but I started reading everything. I started, seeing lights in the sky. I started seeing UFOs. I started having lights turn off, on and off around me. I started being followed. I started being followed by black helicopters. I can go more into that. That's part of being a target individual. But I had actual people following me too, because I was awakening up, having all these experiences, having these memory recalls come back of these missions that I've been on in the 20 and back. Because when they take you on a parallel timeline. You live out your 20 years, and then they send you back, and then you live out your regular life with this whole other life and all these other years of experience, and that you recall, in your life. So that was happening to me, and then so I woke up, and then I was like, what the hell is going on? So I went into the VA, actual VA, and talked to a psychiatrist there. But I later found out they switched out that psychiatrist because I went in there with an extrasensory perception book and started talking about UFOs and all these things, dreams, and, probably a little bit different than everybody else was talking about. But, and he's just sitting there listening to me. He's like, oh, yeah, that's interesting. He's like, oh, wow, yeah, you're listening to me. And he's like, yeah, you should come back next week. And I'm like, okay. So I come back next week, and I go in, and there's a man there. There's two guys, and one of them is talking to the other guy. And then I got in. And he comes up to me, and he's like, hey, I'm Lieutenant Commander such and such. I've been on all these subs and carriers and all these missions and stuff. And I'm like, whoa, okay. And I'm like, yeah, I'm Anthony. And he's like, okay. He's like, yeah, so what are you up to? Like, what are you doing these days? And I'm like, I'm just, doing community college and all that stuff. He's like, yeah, okay. He's like, yeah, if it was up to me, I would assassinate the president of Iran. And I was like, okay. And he's like, yeah. And you know how easy it'd be to get a nuclear bomb in the United States? All I'd have to do is row to shore. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, yeah. And all that's just the tip of the iceberg. And I'm like, okay. But I was later finding out he was testing me for, like, what I was remembering, because I was just remembering all the missions that are obviously of the highest level of secrecy. I talked to him, told him I was writing a book. He gave me his card. He told me we needed to meet again. And so I went home, and I never followed through meeting him. And then, like 2 weeks later, I go to a church that I was going to at the time, and he's standing there waiting for me, talking to somebody that I know from high school. So he knew where I was going to be, who I knew, and everything. And then the whole thing went. And then he took me back home. He's like, "Do you need a ride home?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, we go back home. We're talking about military stuff. And he drops the bomb at the end. He's like, "Yeah." He's like, but you know what I've been really interested in is aliens. And he was testing me to see what I was recalling about the recalls of being involved with missions with extraterrestrials. And at that time, I hadn't recalled anything that I could substantially like tell him, but that came later down the line. So that this is part of being in what is called the TIRAP program. It's the okay, you can go. Okay, that's so yeah. That I woke up, had my Kundalini experience, started meditating all the time. Was doing martial arts. Learning martial arts. I was obviously remembering. This wasn't learning. I was just remembering everything. And I was learning martial arts, meditating. You can go forward. Yeah. Okay. I don't. Yeah. I did fighting. I became a professional fighter. I've had 38 professional fights, and this was just from just being a warrior, and continuing on being a warrior, and so I fought, and then at the same time I'm having recall of this disclosure and these missions, and I learned about soft disclosure, which is it's not hard disclosure, because hard disclosure is like actually what I'm doing is hard disclosure, what everybody, but soft disclosure is in video games and movies. They reveal truths and stuff. And so it's not just a video game and a movie, and you're seeing the truth. And this is part of how they are disclosing, is through soft disclosure. And so you can go forward. So there's different soft disclosure movies. This is part of being in the Super Soldier program, MK Ultra. They split your mind, alters. They can program them with anything they want, and then send you in on a mission, depending whether it's like an assassination or a rescue mission, or you may be infiltrated into somewhere to steal something. Sabotage something. These are all things that I was involved in my mission in the secret space program. So some movies are Dollhouse is one of the shows that shows MK Ultra and alters and how they use humans to program, send them in on missions, and then wipe their memories of it. Because what I learned from my files, I've been on over 4,500 missions. Like they've done this that many times, and this explains all my recalls, memories, all the different things I remember. So same things are on Jason Bourne. He's been involved in all these missions, but he can't remember, and then he's remembering. That's what you go through in the programs. And then Bloodshot is another one where they actually show the technology that's used. Nanotechnology is shown in that, and so they show also how they are able to implant memories, switch around memories. That technology is shown in that and in Bloodshot. You can go forward. These are more disclosure movies. Matrix, obviously everybody is waking up to that truth. Inception is another one, because if you want to get into dreams, that's a subject that I am very versed in, because at the highest level, life is a dream. This isn't base reality. Base reality is actually the frequency, information domain, the unconscious. That's base reality, and so dreams are actually more real than reality. And but we just choose what we want to happen through thought, because mind is actually primary to matter. It is mind that makes up matter. And when this is actually recognized by the institutions of science, there will be a paradigm shift. And Tenant is another one, because, if you see the palindrome, forward and backward, the end is the beginning, time goes both ways. And that explains time. And Looper's another time travel one. Ender's Game, where they show child, grooming and all of the. I went through that when I was a kid. I remember being taken up to the moon, to the Lunar Operations Command. I remember seeing the Earth going away. All these I remember the Earth just going away. And then I remember memories coming back where I was in classrooms with children, and we're getting taught on a screen by Hitler about Atlantis. And then I remember another memory where I was in a classroom and of children. There's a woman in front giving us instruction on a Hanubu 3 aircraft or craft, the German anti-gravity craft. We were getting instruction on the Hanubu 3. And these were memories that I was remembering from the LOC when we were being trained. So, Ender's Game, you can go forward. Black Widow, that's another one about training assassins, erasing their minds, and them not knowing what they're in. But Ultraviolet is another one. Human augmentation and stuff. They augment humans, genetically enhance humans, because that they show that in Halo. Artemis Fowl is another one, because that shows secret societies. It shows child prodigies. It's when he sees the other side, when he knows about the other side, he's like, it's real. And that's what it's like to understand the existence of the other side. It's the same thing. So Tomorrowland, that shows advanced civilizations, the existence that they exist. There are advanced civilizations that are way more advanced than us. And they obviously know things that we don't know. Blade Runner's another one, showing clones and stuff. You can go forward. Consciousness transfer and Ghost in the Shell. Cyberpunk is another cloning, cybernetic one. Mirror's Edge is about runners. Kruger is actually a corporation that is part of the black operations corporations that are involved in the secret space program. They are involved in creating super soldiers. I'm actually a super soldier for Kruger. Umbrella Academy shows like superpowers being in families, but families being covers for children and people with superpowers, which is another thing, because my whole family, it was a cover for my whole family. All of my family are used in the program. Alter Carbon's another one for like consciousness transfer. You can go forward. Infinite. I mean, I can go on. Like I do have a long slideshow. I'll try to. I don't know how long I can go for, or how long anybody wants to listen for. I guess I can finish, because this is disclosure. I appreciate you guys doing this, because it's a lot. It's a lot. Been a lot to learn, and the purpose is raising the consciousness, and this is the information that does it. So you can go. There are video games too that disclose missions going on. Watch Dogs is all about a surveillance state taking over, and that there are missions going on to stop that in the background. Ghost Recon is another one. Those actually, I learned that the missions that are disclosed in that game are actually real, and I've been on some of them. Splinter Cell's another one. Hitman's another one. And what is that? Oh, that's James Bond. Yeah, that's just talking about how black operations are real, intelligence operations are real, and they use super soldiers to do them. So in my oh yeah, I was in Infinite's another one because Infinite is a new Mark Wahlberg's in it. Basically, it's an important one because talking about reincarnation, because reincarnation is very important because I remember past lives. I have past lives in Egypt. I remember being initiated in the pyramids. I remember past lives as being a Knight Templar. I remember being in castles where we're being sieged by flaming rocks running away. I remember being in Atlantis. I remember like every age I have a past life in. And Infinite, the movie Infinite, is in disclosing that, is in disclosing reincarnation, because he doesn't remember who he is, but they bring all these artifacts from those times that he was in to wake him up to who he is. And then he wakes up and then he figures out he's part of a secret society of immortals that is fighting against the darkness, the cabal throughout time. And that's what I found out about my life, and being in the Pythagorean Illuminati, which are actually the true Illuminati, the true enlightened ones. Because the name Illuminati has actually, when I say that, everybody in the community automatically, you think bad, you think the corrupt cabal, you think the politicians, the policemen, the Satanists, all that. And that's made for a reason, because it is part of the Armageddon conspiracy to draw people away from the actual truth, because the true enlightened ones are actually the guardians of the secret religion of illumination, and which is the Grail. And so that's what I found when I did my research and discovering. I didn't stop at where most people stop at. I was able to go further and find the actual enlightened ones. The ACIO is the Alien Contact Intelligence Organization. And I found them like through when I was a super soldier. I found out I was having black helicopters following me everywhere where I go. I still have it. I'm part of the TIRAP program. I'm targeted. I get hit with directed energy weapons. I got hit last night. For super soldiers and stuff, it's part of being in the program, because as you're remembering, they hit you with directed energy weapons to slow down your recall process, and or if you're talking about anything that's like too sensitive, they'll hit you with a directed energy weapon. So I get that like a lot, and sometimes it's so much that it will flatten me on the ground. I'll get hit and I'll be down. So I'm sure you've got it. So yeah, it's they do this to people. It needs to be addressed, and it is. There's groups that are working on legally addressing this. So I promise you, it's getting worked on. ACIO. Found out about the ACIO when I was searching, for answers, and found out about Super Soldier Talk from James Rink. Rest in peace. He's not with us anymore. But was introduced to, his name is Peter, the Insider, and he is actually the 12th Division Director of the ACIO. And he's been on the scene since 2016. But he doesn't show his face because of operational security, because he is actually who he says he is, and he has the highest level of information that I've come across. And so I found him in 2016 and was able to, because he has access to the military abduction files. So everything that's happened behind in your military abduction, he's able to get missions. He's able to know everything about everything. So I was able to find him and get access to my files and learn about me being in Kruger and me being a super soldier for Kruger, the missions that I've been involved in, and all of the other stuff, the planets I'd been to, 162 different planets. I was able to have my mission recalls acknowledged because, just to start off with one recall, I remember being on a planet and it was being evacuated. It was on a sea. It was a beautiful planet, glass like buildings everywhere, very futuristic, and we were evacuating it. And because I remember we were taking people out. I remember being in one of the buildings and people were, scrambling around. It was a rush. People were trying to get out. And I remember looking out the window and a huge plasma ball coming down from the sky and hitting in the sea. And then just a giant wave of just the explosion coming towards the whole city to destroy everything. And I remember it coming and I just like, oh, shit. And I was in the building and then it hit the building I was in. And I remember I went down the ground and hit the ground like that. And then a bubble forms around me. And there was like time fractures and light glints all around me. And then everything, the glass just slowed down around me. It just slowed down time. And everything slowed down around me. And then there was a female next to me, and I was able to go next to her and cover her over her. And then that's when I woke up from that recall, because that was a recall. And so I woke up in my bed, and I was like, oh, and that's how the recalls go for me. So that was just one recall. And so I was having these recalls come back. Another one is I was in a space station. I mean, there's recall after recall. Another one, I was in a space station. Once again, everybody's scrambling around, trying to get off the space station. And I remember this guy coming up, and there was a door, and he opens up the door, and then I get in the door, and a metal slide appears in front of me, and it just appears, and then I slid down the slide, and I slid into a cockpit, like a circular. It was all the way I could see all the way around, and it was a glass cockpit, and I just go into this cockpit, and then I get shot out into space. And I remember being in space, and I was just like, it's so vast. Like, you're just in space, and you're just like, holy crap, it's so vast. And then I remember there being a space station. The space station was like as big as like New York, probably bigger. It was just huge. And there's this space battle going on, and ships were crashing. And, I was in my ship, and I was like doing strafe runs on other ships, and huge Star Wars going on. And then I got hit, and I got blown up. And then I remember feeling pain all in my body. And then I remember waking up in another clone body in a whole room full of clones, because they just transfer your consciousness. And then I woke up in my bed from that memory. So with pain in my body. So yeah, those were the memories. I got in contact with Peter. He was able to confirm everything. I'm still in contact with him. Still missions going on. Still doing high value target capture. Is one of them, because there are people getting apprehended behind the scenes, whether people know it or not. One of the high-value target capture missions I was on was capturing Klaus Schwab from the World Health Organization. Yeah, he's not around anymore, because one time I had a memory recall where I was with the team, because we're rolling with Delta Force, Black Ops teams and stuff like that. So I was with the team, and we were going in a forest. We were infiltrating advanced mansion. It was a mansion. And we're going up into the mansion. I remember going in. No one knew we were there because I remember sneaking around and seeing people walk around, and no one knew we were there. And then I remember going in and actually getting somebody from their room and taking them out. And then I remember waking up in the morning. And then I remember I saw an article about a team going in, and a Black Ops team going in and capturing Klaus Schwab. But it would say in the mainstream news that he was hospitalized. And it did say that he was hospitalized. In the mainstream news, it said that he was hospitalized. And then a month later, he ends up stepping down. So, and then I found out from the files, and Peter was, he was like, "You're able to remember that?" Because I'm not supposed to remember. But I did, and we did a whole show on it because I do this show called Disclosures where we talk about this, and he's confirming it and telling all the information behind the scene. You know, he got taken to Guantanamo, you know, and stuff, and yeah, he's gone and interrogated, and so this is going on. We're getting children too, because I remember memories of rescuing children, going into deep underground military bases, having to take people out, using telekinesis on soldiers in there. I remember having to throw people up against walls, and then get the children out, because I remember taking the children behind me, them being in white lab coats, and getting them out to like the extraction point and stuff. So the rescues are going on too, and yeah. So you can go forward. Like, these are different factions of the secret space program. Dark Fleet is there. They're the Nazi faction. You can go forward. TIRAP, I told you about that. That's being, you know, you're followed around by black helicopters, you know, hip ride directed energy weapons, all of that. Voice to Skull is part of it. You know, and these are all the people that are a threat to the system. They're a threat. So, but if you raise your vibration, this doesn't affect you like it does some people. And yeah, through meditation, visualization, just positive affirmation. What? You cannot meditate? I'll have to think about that. I'll have to think about that a little bit. There's things you can wear on your head and stuff to stop the scalar and stuff like that. But okay. Well, I'll work on that. I'll work on something. Definitely, it's important. Yeah, my whole family's involved in this, and it's really sad. Go ahead. Okay. I don't know if you can play this. Can you play this? Can that be played? Maybe not. If that can't be played, that's definitely me being followed by one of the. They appear as helicopters, but they're not, because they can holographically project an image to make them appear as whatever they want. So they can appear as helicopters, they can appear as Cessna, they can appear as F-22s. I've seen every type of aircraft and every type of paint job, that pink helicopters, pink planes, you know, everything. And but this is because it's Project Bluebeam. It's what they can use to do holograms. And this is the technology that they have. So a lot of the planes, most of the planes that you see out there are actually holograms, just to tell you, because they're out there just monitoring all the time. And if you really look at them, you can actually tell that they're anti-gravity, because they're not flying right. And they'll do weird movements and stuff like that. If you actually sit there and look at it, you can see them, that they're not airplanes. So go forward. This is actually what they look like when they're uncloaked, because you can see them. Like if they you can see them. They're black triangles, and if they came uncloaked right now, like and just the hologram shut off and a black triangle was there, people would definitely be probably not. They would be scared. So that's what they look like for real. And so you can go forward. That was just another experience I had where it's a different experience. Different. It was a ball of light in the sky, and it was just a ball of light sitting there. And I taped it, and then it actually, what it did was it started going all the way around. This is a good thing, This was a good thing. And this ball of light went all the way around the sky, started doing all the movements and stuff. It actually stopped, and I was sitting there. I'm like, we are telepathic. Go left. And then before I even said go left, it just goes left because it was intelligent. And I actually have more intelligent about that because I can explain that, but I'm not going to explain it right now because it's too much time, too much. I have to get through this. Go forward. That's a slide for the 20 and back, because we're involved in 20 and back, being involved in this. Memories wiped, trip chair. I remember being involved in the trip chair and going up to the trip chair, white room, glass, like just a glass viewing, like a circular room, glass viewing, and a chair in the middle. I remember going up to it and getting into it, and then the guy telling me, he's like, what you're doing is saving humanity, is what he told me. And then that's when they wiped my memories and sent me back in time. So go forward. These are different Mars Colony Corporation, the MCC, that exists. That's on Mars. You can go forward. ICC is the industrial corporate conglomerate. Basically, it makes up all of the world of the secret space program, all of the different ET factions, all of the different corporations that are interdimensional, interstellar. This is what the ICC is made of. So you can go forward. This is for Kruger, because there are positive corporations and then there are negative corporations. And I learned all of this after finding the ACI, getting access to the ACIO files, that this is the secret war going on behind the scenes. And positive corporations are Kruger. And I did learn that I was a super soldier for Kruger because a lot of people find out about stuff and they're being used for negative things. But I found out that the work I was doing was positive. And so that Kruger is one of them. They're involved with making super soldiers, augments, training super soldier, acrobatics, parkour, all of that stuff for missions. Because one mission that I remember was an infiltration, sabotage mission, because we go in and we steal their plans, we sabotage their technology. And I remember being in a mission, I was infiltrated because a lot of these missions, I'm running away because my cover's being blown or something like that. And I was in a mission where I'm running down this hallway and there are people firing at me, shooting at me. And then I get in this elevator and I go up against the door and there's bullets riddling through the door. And then they cut the cord of the elevator. I drop like 100 stories. I land. I'm good because I'm shifted into my super soldier mode. I get out. There's people all over, agents all over. I'm able to then run up the walls. I just start running up the walls, and then two guns come out of my hands from nanotech, and then I'm able to simultaneously target everybody and take them all out. And that's what happens on these missions because I'm having to get out. So that's what Kruger does. And you can go forward. CyberLife, they make androids. You can go forward. Shoreline, they're involved in extracting memories and consciousness and stuff with looking at DNA and histories and memories and stuff. That's Shoreline. You can go forward. Trinity, they're involved in finding artifacts like around the world, like priceless artifacts and stuff, with advanced capabilities. You can go forward. Delphi, they're actually involved. They were bad. They actually made stuff during World War One, like mustard gas and stuff to kill people. But now they're actually involved in making like healing properties and stuff. So you can go forward. Typhon, they're involved in weather control. You can go forward. Monarch is involved in time travel. They're doing all the time travel stuff. They're definitely not good. Behind CERN and all that stuff. They're the ones behind all that stuff. You can go forward. Mobius is part of. They're making up our matrix. They're part of the ones that are up for making up the matrix. Murkoff, they're part of all human experimentation. All the Nazi stuff is involved with Murkoff. You can go forward. Umbrella is real. They disclose that, in all the Resident Evil games. They're doing experiments and stuff, ungodly experiments and all that. Shaw House, they're involved in human trafficking. Yeah, they're involved in human trafficking. So you can go forward. Arasaka is just a security, advanced security corporation. Go forward. Go forward. Yeah, go forward. Go Lincoln Clay. I can. Should I stop or should I keep? Okay. All right. So Lincoln Clay is important because I actually met him in real life. Oh. What's that? Oh. What? Oh, I mean, I want. It sounds like people want me to go. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so yeah. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Lincoln Clay is. I learned out the ACIO files that he's actually the head of all Blacker operations for Kruger, and when I got access to my files, I was like, "Am I going to be approached by somebody?" And I was told by Peter, he's like, yes. He's like, you will be approached in 2 months, because he's Slovakian, and so 2 months comes, and I'm walking down I live in the forest, and I'm just walking down a roadway, like a little parkway, and there's a baseball game going on, and there is a black man sitting there watching the baseball game, and he's wearing a green sweatshirt. And I was just like, I was walking and I was just going to pass him because I don't really interact with people. I was just going to pass him. And then he turns around. He's like, hey, he's like, are you that fighter? And I was like, yeah, I fight. He's like, yeah. He's like, I know you. He's like, you're good. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't know him yet. I didn't quite put together what was going on. But he's like, yeah, you're good. He's like, so do you have any fights coming up? And I'm like, yeah, I'm training. And he's like, yeah. He's like, I'm like, so what are you up to? He's like, oh, I just got off of deployment, and I'm just here watching the games. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, I'm like, yeah, well, I got to go to the forest now. And he's like, okay. He's like, well, I'll see you around. And he's like, by the way, he's like, my name's Jay. Is what he said his name was. He said Jay. He didn't say my name's Lincoln Clay, but he said his name was Jay. And he looked exactly like that. And he actually is in the video game Mafia 3. They disclosed that. So this is my saying that it's real. The video games are real. The movies are real. The people are real in it. Because he literally showed up like in front of my face and introduced himself. So he was doing that to help me recall, because that's what's happening. So yes, they are. It is part of it. It is definitely part of the grooming process. But yeah, it is. It is. It's been going on. Yes. But it is. It is. It is. It is something that needs to stop. Yes. Yes. The ET factor is involved in this as well. Yes, the reptilians are definitely involved with the trafficking of children and eating of children, and that's yes, it is. It is that it, and actually, yes. One thing I'm going to talk just because you're doing that, I'm going to address adrenochrome real quick because adrenochrome is I actually know what it does, why they value it. It does in the brain because this is why they harvest it is it allows you to consciously live a dream. So you are consciously it allows you to access the dream world consciously. So that's the state that you're living in when you're on it. And that information is from the Unveilers, which I learned from the Pythagorean Illuminati. You can go forward. So the Pythagorean Illuminati is definitely, through my awakening, I started studying all the secret societies and what they knew and all of that. And then this was just me remembering from past lives because I've been in the secret societies in all my past lives. So I went through the secret societies, Freemasonry, Rosicrucians, Knight Templars, and all that. Studied all of that, and that actually led me to actually find. I mean, everything got corrupted. It all started good, but then it got corrupted. Like the Freemasonry, it's just a system of allegory made to make good men better. Made to make good people better. And the Rosicrucian monographs are all about telepathy and extrasensory perception and all that stuff. So it's not dark. It just got misused. So this all led me to find the Illuminati because I was searching all the secret societies, and then it finally led me to the Pythagorean Illuminati, which they are the oldest secret society that there is. And they still exist to this day, and they are actually the ones that are gathered against the elite. That's the truth. And they've always actually they've been responsible for all the revolutions of the past for humanity's best interest to free us from the old world order, from the elite. They've always been the ones that are looking to enlighten humanity and install reason and logic in humanity to free and liberate humanity because from the ignorance with the light, with the truth, which they hold. And that's why they call it the enlightened ones. So I found the Pythagorean Illuminati, and I found the Armageddon conspiracy, which is that the Illuminati are the bad guys, because they mislead people to keep them away from the truth, and they do hold the secret religion of illumination. So you can go forward. So disclosure, it's not so much, UFOs and aliens, which is true, but it's the nature of reality, like the structure and nature of reality. Reality is not material. It's actually made, it's immaterial and material. It's dimensionless and dimensional. There's a world outside of time and space, and there's a world inside of time and space. And yes, but right. That's true. And that's what this knowledge is made to do. Because your dream, if you've had a dream, you've automatically refuted scientific materialism, which says that matter is the only thing that there is. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, where did all this come from? It's coming from the mind, which the mind is something. It's an immaterial substance that turns into matter. And this is what Rene Descartes, the famous philosopher, did. He separated thinking substance from material substance. It's called Cartesian dualism. And he was the first one to separate the two substances, but they've never been able to explain how they interact. And so that's why science only acknowledges the material world. But there is also the immaterial world, the world of mind, the unconscious, the world of dreams, the world of frequency, the source that everything comes from. And it turns into matter. That's what the mind does. And it's actually through a mathematical concept called the Fourier transform, which turns one thing into another. So mind turning into matter, a wave turning into a particle. That's what the process of manifestation is, of mind turning into matter. So all you have to do is focus on a frequency and then vibrate on it, and then it literally comes into being. You just tune in with it. You study all 432 hertz, all the 777 hertz, like whatever frequency, of whatever feeling it is you want to feel and have. You listen to that frequency and bring that into your body. And there's different frequencies that you can listen to. So yeah, we'll talk about. But so yeah, the nature of reality is really what disclosure is all about, and that it's mental, not physical. You're not your body. You're actually a soul that is outside of time and space, operating this body like a drone from another domain that's outside of time and space. And that you exist in. That's why in your dreams you can go anywhere. You can go in the past, you can go in the present, go in the future, different timelines, because you're not bound by physical reality. And but this domain is more real than actually, that's why it's base reality. They call the source base reality, and we can all access that. Our minds are actually portals to Omega, because this is alpha. This is the world of physical matter, and then there's Omega, which is the frequency domain, the unconscious, and our minds are actually portals to that. And that's what's up. So you can go forward. So yeah, the hero's journey, we're all on a hero's journey. We're all on a hero's journey because, you start out in the world of common day. This is your everyday 9-to-5 job, monotonous drudgery. Everything's the same, just blah, blah, blah. And this is where everybody is at. And this is the ordinary world. Then you get the call to adventure, which is there's got to be something more than this. There's got to be something more than this 9-to-5 matrix, all of this stuff. Then you get to refuse the call or you accept the call, which is the blue or red pill. That Morpheus says. You either choose the blue pill, you go back to sleep, go back to the ordinary world, or you choose the red pill and go into the extraordinary world, which is obviously the world we're in together right now because we're here. So you're in the extraordinary world, and then you're obviously like, holy crap, this is crazy. I don't know what's going on. And then you meet with a mentor, somebody that can help you get through the extraordinary world. And then you go on the road of tests and trials, and you then have your hypothesis, your meeting with God. Then you receive the reward. Then with your reward, you then go on your magic flight back to the world of common day with what you received in the extraordinary world. And then this makes you the master of two worlds. And then you have the freedom to live. And then you are able to give other people the freedom to live. And then this is the hero's journey. I'm talking about 5D and beyond. Definitely bringing people up out of 3D. And so this is the hero's journey, and this, you can see this in every movie. Luke Skywalker, The Matrix. Every movie is pretty much the hero's journey. That's why I found out when I found the Pythagorean Illuminati that we're all living our personal hero's journey. So we're all in the story of our life in a movie. So you can go forward. You can go forward. You can go forward. I'm not going to talk about the three-body problem and all that stuff because that goes into talking about politics, religion, and economics. But I do have the solution for that. I know the solution is happening. Alpha Domain talked about that. This is the physical world, the world that you can measure, all that stuff. The world that, and then there's, you can go forward. Omega domain. This is the world of dreams, the unconscious, the world outside of time and space, where distance is equal to zero. Because the alpha domain is where distance is greater than zero. Omega domain is where distance is equal to zero because it's a singularity. Because your mind is actually a singularity. Everything is contained in your mind, so it's a singularity. And this is why science doesn't, they stop explaining out of singularity because they can't, but they don't include the numbers 0 and infinity because they haven't found out about ontological mathematics yet. Because what ontological mathematics is it says that the universe is actually made of numbers. Like the arc of the universe, which is the fundamental substance, the arc means fundamental substance, is numbers, not matter. And so the universe is actually an equation. It's a self-solving mathematical equation. And we are all little Rubik's cubes. That it's one big Rubik's cube, and we're all little Rubik's cubes. Getting to our evolving to our omega point, which is our optimal maximum potential, because that the universe will reach that. That's what they can't stop. Okay, go ahead, go forward. Ordinary world, went over that. Go forward. Extraordinary world, went over that. Chronos and Kairos time. Chronos time is the world inside of time and space. 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Kairos time is outside of that. So I'm operating on Kairos time because I've taken myself out of Chronos time with all of my different things that I do. So it's important to know this. Go forward. The demiurge and the panopticon. So the demiurge is like the matrix. It's the illusion that keeps everybody in. The panopticon is the surveillance state that everybody's, watching on the phones and the Facebook and stuff like that. So this is what we have to rise up above through consciousness, rising our consciousness, because we'll be able to escape out of the control of the demiurge and the panopticon, which is the illusion, which is what we're doing right now. So mythos is just all of the, because there's mythos and logos. And mythos is all the world's religions that have to do with stories, but it all actually, all paths lead to one. So all the mythos actually lead to logos. Go ahead. Yeah, which is what illumination is, the world's only logos religion based on reason and logic. So all of the mythos goes to logos. You can go forward. The super soldier mythos. So I found the Pythagorean Illuminati, and then been working with them since 2016. And I have a Patreon, and in the Patreon, I told them all about the super soldier stuff, and for the past 2 years we've been developing the super soldier mythos, and that's what it is basically we're becoming the bridge between two worlds. That is what being a super soldier is you are the living bridge between alpha and omega, and because you know of the existence of the other side, so you are the living bridge. Go forward. And this becomes when you become aware of both sides, because there's a symbol, the double-headed phoenix actually means that you are awake on both sides. That means that you're a master of two worlds now. And this makes you an aeon. This finishes your aeonic initiation, so you can refer to yourself as an aeon. Somebody that knows the truth, that lives through the ages, and consciousness is just continued on. So you can go forward. Manifestation, I talked about that. Real quick, I'm going to talk about how I manifested. I practice a certain art, but basically it's just focus. It's just an image and focus. And I drew an image of my dream and what I wanted my dream to be. And I sat there and focused on it every day. Got up in the morning. I still do this, but I got up and, set my sacred space, incense, the music and stuff, and just sat there and did the focus. And on my image. And then what happened was a store opened up next to me called the Time Machine. And I was out in the middle of nowhere. So a store opens up next to me called the Time Machine, and then I keep doing the practice, and then another store opens up, and it's actually an MMA fighting store. And then they ended up sponsoring me and helping me out. And then I kept doing the practice, and then another store opens up next to me, and then it's a holistic masseuse and healer, and her name was Magic. So it was just like I would definitely knew that I did that through what I did. So and all I did was just focus and on an image. Cartesian dualism, talked about that. You can go forward. Consciousness studies. This is all consciousness studies. Every consciousness is the most important thing to understand. So that's what I've devoted my life to. You can go forward. Nature of light. Definitely very important to understand the nature of light, because light is what is all, and it literally turns into a wave, into a particle, and our minds are the light. Like that's literally what minds are light. So you can go forward. Black holes also, our minds are also a black hole. Like that's actually the truth too. Like if you close your eyes, what do you see? You know, but it is true. Your eyes, if you want to know what it looks like inside a black hole, just go to sleep. Then you'll find out. You can go forward. The soul's journey, found out about this. Like we go through a mini catabasis every night. When we go to sleep, we go through like a mini death, and we go through the other side. And you cross the river Styx. You pay the ferryman, but the thing is can you come back with the information that you received on the other side? And so you go through a little catabasis. You go through the river Styx. All the souls trying to reach their way up, to the light, and you go through the field of fates. I went through the field of fates. You experience if things go good, you experience the timeline with things going good. You made certain decisions one way, and then you experience the timeline where things went bad, and you actually experience that. So that's the field of fates. But once you go through that, you get your access to Jacob's ladder, and then you're able to get up Jacob's ladder to Empyrean, which is God's home in the dream. So that's the soul's journey, and you can go forward. And this is the great work. This is what I understood all to be called the great work, is becoming the bridge, between this world and the next. And I came here in this life to give this information out, because this is many lives' work. But I'm glad it's coming to a culmination, because this is the age of disclosure. This is definitely the age of disclosure, and you wanna stick around to see what's coming. So, all right, I think that's it. Illumination is the grand unified theory of everything. And I even was able to talk to David Adair about this and present this all to him, and he was able to tell me that I was able to do something that Stephen Hawking didn't do. And it wasn't me; it was actually the Illuminati. I just found them. So I think that's it. You can just go forward. Yeah, the Fourier transform is the key to this all. So thank you.